All right, Shalom. This is Howard One by Yasha Allah of the GMS Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Harakai Kodash, Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS, and Shalom to you, Akim, and Akwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. I just kind of want to do a recap on Ezekiel chapter 1. I was going into Revelations 10 this week, speaking to a couple of younger brothers in the camp here, and he asked me to do a lesson on it. So I wanted to kind of open up with Ezekiel chapter 1. All right. Now, right here you have what Ezekiel was shown was a vision of the actual chariots. All right, and it was fleets of chariots. All right, it wasn't just one group of chariots. It was a couple of fleets. Now, same thing was shown to the prophet John the Revelator. All right, in Revelations 10. Now, so I'm going to go through it. This is Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "Now it came to pass in the 30th year, all right, in the 30th year, in the fourth month, um, in the fifth day of the month, and as I was among the captives by the river of Kibar, that was the heaven, that the heavens were open, and I saw visions of uh, see, Alahayim, right here. It would say Elohim. So it says he saw visions of the powers. All right, so these were the angels, and even Yahushua was there. This Ezekiel saw Yahushua too, and Yahweh, and he saw the angels. All right, you had Jehoiakim. Now, actually, I'm gonna get something real quick. Clear all that. Now it says in the fifth day of the month or the moon, fifth day after the new moon, right? Because the word moon means month, and they counted the days by number, all the way up to the seventh day, which would be the Sabbath, the seventh evening. Now it says, as I was among the captives by the river Kabar. And now, how did Ezekiel become a captive? Because Jehoiakim, which was a ruler after Josiah was taken down by the Egyptians, what was his name? King Pharaoh Nebo the second. He took down Josiah. Now, um, you had Ezekiel was given over captive, just like a lot of the high priest and a lot of the kings and prophets were given over by Jehoiakim, because Jehoiakim called himself saving Jerusalem, but he was really selling out. So in 605 BC, when Nebuchadnezzar, uh, you know, went at Jehoiakim, you know, and he put Jehoiakim in tribute to Babylon, Jehoiakim sold Ezekiel and them out because Ezekiel was born around 620 uh, BC approximately. Now, it says in the fourth month, so in the 30th year, so what it's talking about, he was around 30 years old. This was talking about Ezekiel. So he was around 30 years old when this happened. Now it says, in the fifth day of the month, so like it, as I was among the captives by the river Kibar, that the heavens were open, and I saw visions of the Most High, right? Because those same captives were the ones that the Babylonians were saying, sing. They said they were by the river, and they sang. They said, "Sing us a song of Jerusalem." Sing us those songs of Jerusalem. And Ezekiel was among those people. All right. Now today is the same type of rendition of that same situation with Esau saying that to the children of Israel, because America's Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. All right, this is Psalms 137 and 1. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. See the same Kibar, rivers of Kibar, or the different rivers where the captives were held that Jehoiakim had sold out and handed over as hostages to Nebuchadnezzar. All right. Now it says, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. All right, and this is a true statement. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. All right. Now, that happened in the time of Jerusalem when we fell to Nebuchadnezzar. All right, when they first started invading us around 609 BC, all the way up to 605, you know, um, with Jehoiakim, and then Jehoiakim in 598 BC, you know, and then around 580 of 590 with Zedekiah, and then 586 completely where they took down Zedekiah, which was set up by Nebuchadnezzar as a puppet ruler because he was saying he didn't want Jehoiakim after they removed Jehoiakim and took him away in chains. You had Jehoiakim, which was Jehoiakim's son. All right. Now, when he was taken away captive, uh, his son sat in his seat for about 3-4 months in 598 BC. All right, that's when he was taken captive by Nebuchadnezzar. So in 598 BC, that's when Jehoiakim was stepped in his stead as ruler. But Nebuchadnezzar took him out of power because he said he didn't want Jehoiakim to raise up uh, in defense of his father, which was removed or exiled, Jehoiakim. So instead, they set up Zedekiah, and that's when later they removed Zedekiah because I think Zedekiah refused to pay a certain amount of taxes. Um, and then that's when they came and took the temple and they burned down the temple, handed over to Edom, and Edom burned it down in 586 BC. All right, and that's when you go to Psalms 137 and 6, where it says, "O daughter of Babylon," or actually in 7, where it says, "Remember, O Yahweh, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof." And that happened in 586 BC. All right. If you go to the Book of First Ezra, I think chapter 3 or chapter 4. All right. So this is Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, so he was about 30 years old, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Kibar, all right, that the heavens were open, and I saw visions of the Most High. And also, Ezekiel was among the groups that were taken into Babylon, all right, into the land of traffic, around 605 BC, between 609 and 605 BC, all right, under the rulership of Jehoiakim, when Nebuchadnezzar invaded. Now, um, this is Ezekiel 17 and 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, put forth a riddle. So even Ezekiel chapter 1 is a riddle, all right? And the riddle is only meant for certain people to be able to understand it, all right? Put forth a proverb, basically, man, all right? Tie a knot, meaning seal it up, okay? Now it says, put forth a riddle and speak a parable unto the house of Israel. And he speak parables unto the children of Israel so that only a few can get it and understand. All right, byword, proverb, okay, um, a poem, a dark saying, or a mystery, basically. Now it says, Verse 3. And say, thus saith Yahweh, power, a great eagle with great wings, long wing, full of feathers, which had diverse colors, came unto Lebanon and took the highest branch of the cedar. So that's talking about Jerusalem. They came unto Jerusalem, and that great eagle is talking about Babylon. All right, with great wings, meaning a great military or vast rulership or power. Now it says long winged, full of feathers, so full of different nations, and you know, just dominion, which had diverse colors, came unto Lebanon, came unto Jerusalem, and took the highest branch of the cedar. The highest branch represents the southern kingdom, which means Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Now you had the northern kingdom, which was already exiled in 722 BC, the Sargon II. Now you have so they took the highest branch of the cedar. So they started messing with the house of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Now after Hezekiah and after Josiah fell, right? After Josiah fell, really, because that's when the Davidic bloodline was really cut off, spiritually speaking. All right. Now, because the rest of the kings was selling out and they was wicked. So it says, verse 4, he cropped off the top of his young twigs. See, his young twigs represents his young ones. They are mighty men, are righteous men, and carried it into a land of traffic. He set it in the city of merchants. All right. So it says, he took also of the seed of the land and planted it in a fruitful field. He placed it by great waters and set it as a willow tree. You know, so that's talking about the children of Israel. Now, it says, all right, so I'm going to go back to Ezekiel 1 and 1. It says, now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Kibar, that the heavens were open, and I saw visions of the powers of the angels. Now verse 2, in the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity. See, it's not talking about Jehoiakim with an M. It's talking about Jehoiakim, all right, with an N as in Nancy, all right, for N. Now, Jehoiakim was taken into captivity around 597 BC, all right, so 597 BC, right? See, so around 597 BC, because he only ruled for a few months after Jehoiakim died, and Jehoiakim died in 598 BC. All right. So now, from 598, 7 BC was when he was taken captive by Nebuchadnezzar. So 5 years from that, it said in the 5th year, right, in the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity. So 5 years later would be 592 BC. All right, so that's when he had this vision. That's when this vision was given to him. To Ezekiel was around 592 BC. Now also, if you add 30 years to that, that would be I think around 622 BC, if I'm not mistaken. Let me get a calculator. All right, correct. So it'd be 622 BC, and that's when Ezekiel was born. He was born around that time. So that's what he meant in verse 1, where he said in the 30th year. So that'd be 30 years. Um, 30 years from 592 would go back to 622. So that's around the time Ezekiel was born. All right, and Babylon was coming into power. All right, I think he had the fall of Nineveh was 612 BC, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so now where was I at? Verse 2, it says, in the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity. See, in the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, 30 years after Ezekiel was born, around the time approximately, the word of Yahweh came expressly unto Ezekiel, and after 30 years before that too, was around the time Josiah was ruling. He was around 622 BC. You know, so um, verse 3: the word of Yahweh came expressly unto Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Buzai, in the land of the Chaldeans, by the river of Kibar, and the hand of Yahweh was there upon him. Now, the land of the Chaldeans represents Babylon, because that's what it was called before. It was called uh, northern Mesopotamia and southern Chaldea. All right, later to be called Babylon, all right, in southern Chaldea. So that's where he was at. He was in the southern part. All right, so just ain't gotta sit here and find a bunch of maps. Right here, where it says Babylon, Babylonian or Babylon. That's Mesopotamia. And if you go southern, the south, you would be in near the river Kabar. All right, because Babylon was set up in Mesopotamia, and the southern part was still called Chaldea, which was a mix-up of the Syrians and the Hittites, which was Canaanites or Africans. And you also had, um, uh, the Assyrians, which were actually Babylonians. Okay, I like this picture right here, man, because this probably how it looked, but not with that, not with this in the middle, but just looking at the clouds and the chariot, the whirlwind and the river, but not that in the middle though. All right, now it says, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kibar, and the hand of Yahweh was there upon me. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself. A great cloud in the north, and in the north means in the sky. So this was before, way before airplanes were thought of. Now it says, behold, a whirlwind came out of the north. Now it says, a great cloud and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the cloud of amber out of the midst of the fire. Now, everybody know the classic film Independence Day, and a lot of those that movie directors, they know the Bible, and that's what the scriptures say. The clouds. What it means is, yeah, it can use the clouds as a cloaking device. It can even turn into a cloud if it chose to. All right. Yeah, it's an object. You know what I mean? Because the Most High deals with uh, space and royalty. They have chambers in there. They have windows. They have seats. They have thrones. You know what I mean? So that's why they need it. Like, I heard the guy from ITR say, "Why would he need space junk?" You're like, it ain't about. See, you thinking junk, and his throne are made of certain elements, which hardened or in a light form. You know what I mean? Because however you look at it, this physical realm that we're in is a lower form of spirituality or light. Now, these chariots are the same thing. They can manipulate themselves into the physical realm or into the spiritual realm, in the celestial realm. All right. The same thing with the angels, and the same thing we'll be able to do in the kingdom. It's just common sense, man. To the ones that it makes sense too. Now, that's what it meant by fire enfolding itself, meaning it was coming towards them. So it was burning up the elements. That's what the scriptures say: the elements shall melt, with fervent heat. Besides the missiles, I'm talking about with they say the sky shall flee at his presence. All right. So when them chariots show up, this is how they may look. You know, it's gonna scare the shit out of everybody. So this is a sort of image of what Ezekiel was seeing. Now you have different chariots, some that look like pillars, meaning columns. All right, that's what led the children of Israel out of Egypt. But this right here, these are a fleet of different chariots, which were spoken of in Ezekiel. Now it says, when it talks about the whirlwind. Now the same whirlwind was spoken of in the Book of Kings, where it talks about Elijah, and Elijah was around during the time of the Moabites messing with us. And that was around like 8th century BC, 800 BC. All right. Now, so Second Kings 2:11, and it came to pass as they still went on and talked that behold there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire. You know, chariot of fire, man, and horses of fire. So that's what they look like. But they still call them clouds. They still call them whirlwinds. All right. But it says what? A chariot of fire, man. So it's a energy of spiritual uh, power of fire. It says, and horses of fire, meaning chariots of fire, man. Meaning horse riders made of fire. You know, talking about the angels, because he said, I make my angels fire. All right. And parted them asunder, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And now that whirlwind represents, all right, see right here, it says what? One. Okay, here we go. So Mayim would mean water, and then you have Shemayim, which would mean the waters. All right, Hashemayim, which would mean the waters. I think it would be Hashemayim. All right, if I'm not mistaken, but it means the waters. So that's what it's talking about, where it says the sea. All right, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea. It's talking about the heavens, all right, from up above, the northern part. Same thing Ezekiel saw. Now, the wind that's talking about is talking about that whirlwind, that it moved all the waves thereof, meaning the waves of the water, all right, and it also parted the elements of the heavens. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And that's talking about Yahushua when he shows up on his chariot. All right, and I'm probably get back into this in a second. But all right, now I'm going to continue. Ezekiel 1:4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north. Now he looked up into the heavens. That's why the scriptures, or that's why the slaves sang songs, "Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home." I looked over Jordan, and Jordan's over there in Israel, not Africa. All right. It says a great cloud and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. So this talking about these specific chariots. Now, if you look up amber, if you look up amber, this is the color of amber, and amber is a reflection that comes off of bronze if it's shining. All right, if you were to shine bronze, then it would come off as amber, and that's the lights or the glow that this specific chariot had that was in the center of this cloud. All right, or this energy. Now it says, now there's a part where it said the cloud, right? It says, moreover, this is Nehemiah 9 and 12. Moreover, thou leddest them in the day by a cloudy pillar, and in the night by a pillar of fire, to give them light in the way wherein they should go. And that happened when the Lord freed us out of Egypt, right? With Moses. Now it says the first Exodus, right? And he actually sent his angels, sent Yahweh to free us, to deliver us from the first Egypt. Now it says, moreover, thou leddest them in the day by a cloudy pillar. See, so it's not just a cloud; it's a cloud, but it has what? It says a column. It has standing, also a stand, a platform. So it's a physical object within a cloud, all right? Well, what you call a cloud of smoke, because it's burning up the elements around it. Now it says a cloud as covering the sky, the nimbus. So when it's talking about cloud right here, it's talking about an object, right? Meaning the covering. And this was actually a pillar, meaning an elongated chariot, up or down, however it was looking. So it guided them by day, right? And it also was a light by night, so it's able to deal with two different elements, right? Column, a stand, a piece, pillar, right? A fire, burning, fiery. So it's pure energy, and that's what the chariots are, you know. But within them, you have seats, you have windows, you have chambers, you have doors. So who else? Who knows what else you may have in there, right? So it says a fire by night to light up the path, so it's giving off light, and that's what this source is, man. All right, lighting to set on fire to shine. So it was a pillar, meaning a solid object to stand on, meaning what? A chariot, right? Not just a vapor of condensation, meaning a cloud or a nimbus. It's talking about a physical object. Now it says, thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai, and spakest with them from heaven, and gavest them right judgments and true laws and good statutes and commandments. They came down on Mount Sinai. That big chariot was Yahushua's chariot, right? And he came out from that big chariot on top of something that said a graven work, and that was like Silver Surfer. All right, this is when Moses went up to the mount to see Yahushua, in the presence of Yahweh. Now, this is Exodus 24 and 8. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahweh have made, which you with you concerning all these words, right? He only made his covenant with the children of Israel, right? Um, then went up Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and they saw, it says, and they saw the powers, see, the powers uh, of Israel, and there was under the feet of him, so under Yahushua, right, under his feet, as it were a paved work of sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in his clearness. So this was that chariot, and when he came out of the chariot, this was under his feet, right? So it says as a color of sapphire stone, and sapphire, same thing dealing with the garment or clearness, right? Where is it at? There you go. It's a sapphire, a gem. Um, Actually, I'm just keep going. Now it says, and upon the nobles of the children of Israel, so it's a physical object that Yahweh that the Lord was standing on, Yahweh Shah was standing on. All right, not just a vapor. And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand. Also they saw the powers and did eat and drink. And Yahweh and Elohim and Yahweh said, Yahweh Shem Shai said unto Moses, come unto me into the mount, see, into the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone, and a law, and the commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. And Moses rose up, and his ministers, and Joshua and Moses went up into the mount of Yahweh. And he said unto the elders, tarry ye here for us until we come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. So they stopped at the top of the mount, and Moses went into the chariot. It says, and Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of Yahweh abode upon the Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And the seventh day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud. And the sight of the glory of Yahweh was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. Now it's that chariot, man. All right, same chariot that showed up in 2nd Ezra 13, which Yahweh Shah is going to be on, and a same vision of the fleet of chariots, uh, one of them in Ezekiel. But now it says, and Moses went into the midst of the cloud. So Moses went into the chariot and gat him up into the mount. And Moses went in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. All right. So it was an actual physical object. All right. This is Exodus 14 and 19. Now this is the same chariot. All right. Now Exodus 14 and 17. Actually 17, and I'm gonna get to the point. Here you go. 14 and 19. And the angel of Yahweh went before the camp of Israel. And, right, it said it led the children of Israel, right? The angel of Yahweh. So just like in Revelations chapter 10, where it says the angel came down, it's talking about a chariot with an angel in it. All right. So it's talking about a chariot. I'm gonna get that next. So it says the angel of Yahweh, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them, and the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. All right. So that's talking about the chariot, the angel that was inside the chariot. And now it says, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them, and the pillar of the cloud. So it's talking about the actual chariot right there, man. All right, a column, meaning a solid object. Now it says, pillar of a cloud went from before their face and stood behind them, and it came between the camp of Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and it was a cloud and darkness to them, meaning it blinded them. It shined their lights on them. All right, and it was darkness to them, meaning like a storm scaring the shit out of them. Now it says, but it gave light by night to these. Wow, man. Um, so that the one came not near the other all the night. So it was light to us, but to them it was just straight darkness and destruction. And that goes hand in hand with the scripture. Actually, before I get that, this caught my eye. It says Exodus 14 and 24. And it came to pass that in the morning watch Yahweh looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire. and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians. So, so that's talking about Yahushua. Yahushua was a representative of Yahweh at that time, because Yahushua couldn't make himself known. He was the angel that couldn't give his name. That's why when he came down as Melchizedek, he was known as King of Peace, King of Righteousness. But his name couldn't be known yet, all right, till he was born. He was known as God among us, Yahushua, all right. Um, which means he the deliverer, this chosen seed. The prophecies had to play out. Now it says he was kept away from the world, as a secret, all right. Now it says so that's the Lord looking through the chariot, because it said he was in the chariots, man. He was in them chariots. He was acting as a death angel at that time, man. All right, he is the death angel of Yahweh. All right, because the scriptures say, man, he's the Lord's battle axe. He's the Lord's warrior, Yahweh's warrior, his messenger. His arm stretched out. All right, so yeah, actually, I'm gonna get the other scripture I was thinking about. All right, now this is the same style of chariot spoken of in Exodus, where it said it was a light unto the children of Israel, and there was darkness to the Egyptians, and there was a pillar of fire. So the pillar represents a roll, all right, which was a platform though. I'm gonna get that word roll, meaning a volume, all right. So it says Zechariah 5:1. Then I turned and lift up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. You see that? A flying roll. So it was a long chariot. Now it says, and he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. So this is in the sky. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. So it's a long chariot, long as a football field. All right, long as the temple courtyard of Solomon. Now it says, then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the earth, the whole earth. For every one that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. So when the Most High sends out his angels um, to do his will upon the earth, period, to destroy some and to save some, bottom line, to render to every man his judgment, whether it be life or death. Now it says, that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. So the chariots and the angels go hand in hand. That's why he said it was darkness to them, but it was light to the children of Israel. All right, this is Revelation 10:1. And I saw another mighty angel. See, in Exodus where it said the angel went before them. So that's talking about what? The chariots. All right, but what's in the chariot? The actual angel that they call a hand or a man, which is an angel or a horseman. It says, and I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, talking about a chariot. Right? The angel wasn't just flying down by itself with wings. This was a chariot that came down. It said, clothed with a cloud. See, he was covered in a cloud. And a rainbow was upon his head. So it was glowing like a prism. And a prism is spoken of in the Bible. All right? So you can't say it don't exist. It's lights or waves, light waves, right? Prism, which is different levels of light. You can't get around that shit. Um, that's what you call a rainbow. All right? Now it says, and this, and his face was as it were the sun, so it was glowing, and his feet as pillars of fire. So the feet is not talking about actual boots or shoes or toes. It's talking about what? The feet, the lower part of it. All right, the foot, meaning the stool, the base of it was what? As pillars of fire, as columns of fire. as support of fire, man. See that? So of light, it was lit up to stiffen. All right, so the Lord took the elements and stiffened them up and made them, you know, a platform of fire. Wow, of lightning. It's crazy, man. Lightning energy, and lightning is made from what you call fission. All right, you have fusion. That's nuclear energy that's created out in the heavens, what you call the sun or upper stars. Then you have fission that's made by what you call charged up elements and pushing out positive charge, which would be charged up elements again, atoms, whatever you want to call them, creating what you call electricity or lightning, which they do exist. All right. So it was like lightning, charged up energy. So that's what you mean by fire. All right. They don't mean like a fire, like your lighter or your match. You're talking about super fire, power. You know, spiritual fire. So that's what these chariots are made of right there. It's telling you they substance. All right, pillars of fire. Now it says, and his feet. Now that's important. We're gonna come back to that.